And welcome back, guys. I'm your host, Josh. On your left, you see Diego on your right. We did it. 4 teams to go. Very
Yeah.
exciting matchups. I know some of them kind of felt like a little bit of a downers with injuries and disappointments, but um, been an overall great playoffs. Diego, before you go, how's your weekend? I hope it was much better than mine.
It was pretty reasonable. I mean, went out Friday, kind of chill. Saturday, pretty chill as well. Yesterday we had our playoffs for our basketball league. Did not we looked like construction workers out there laying some crazy bricks. Not a lot of shots made, but the season's over, so it's can recharge, recuperate, get dialed for next season. Aside from that, been pretty good.
I won my first 32 game in a while,
Oh
big
yeah.
while.
You guys, I feel like no
One
one
guy
here
had
plays
like,
32.
come on, man, that was 32 was like one of my favorite games to
Yeah.
win. Um, no, so the guy I was facing, he had 29 at the time, and I had like 12. I
Hmm.
was not hitting my layups. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Um, that all of a sudden, I just start hitting threes and layups, and they all come together. I end up winning like 32 to 29, and then the other guy I was playing with also came back. He had like 26 or 25 or something.
Jeez.
And yeah, but he and I both had like 12 and 10 when the other guy had 29. So it
Dang, you
was it
lose.
was a lot of and no double teams for the most part. So
It's
um,
pretty real.
individual defense and whatnot. But I was without power for solid 2 days from like Friday morning to
Jeez.
Sunday morning because the storms hit like Thursday on this side
Oh,
of Michigan.
right.
So it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was not fun. I was charging my devices. Thankfully, my workplace has microwaves, showers, and like electric outlets. So I was pretty sad. It was not the best,
Yeah.
but made do, made do.
It's valid. Yeah, that's pretty tough. We got some of
Yeah,
that
I
this
know.
summer
I
too.
couldn't. The one thing I was mad about was not being able to watch the game 6 of the Knicks and the Celtics.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much. So I don't have much of a recap there. I know it's been from what I saw in the recap, Jalen Brown by himself you cannot trust at all.
Well,
Like
yeah.
that was the second time now that he's disappointed in the clutch where this team needed him the most, and um we need to talk about that. Without Jason Tatum with an unfortunate injury,
Yeah.
where do you think the Celtics go from here?
Yeah. This is like the biggest, probably the saddest thing that happens with the Celtics now. Completely like a 24-hour switch up from them from May 12th waking up to May 13th waking up. I I have no idea. I mean, you're gonna have to shed salary somehow. Um, One thing is, I think Drew is a good candidate for that right now because he just makes a ton of money and he's great. But I don't know if he's. Let me check exactly what he's worth right now. Drew Holiday contract, spot track. This is the best place if you want to find like salaries and whatnot. I just check this like all the time. So look, this year he made $30 million. Next year he makes $32 million, 34, 37. In his age 37 season, he's making 37.2 million dollars. Like it's great for him, but I can't imagine paying a 37-year-old that much money, especially with how the Celtics team is down bad money wise. And especially because next year it's like the Warriors in 2019, 2020. They kind of Steph gets injured. They then get a high draft pick with Wiseman. That I think that's an option right here. Obviously, you don't tank, but you just take what the take what you got, shed a bit of salary, retool for the next year for when Jason Tatum is 100%, and see what Jalen Brown can do. I mean, it could be a good time to get Jalen Brown some reps. It's kind of weird to say he's a Finals MVP, but it just never feels like he can be the lone creator, and he never has been really. It was Kyrie and Aaron Gordon, or Aaron Gordon, Gordon Hayward and him, and then came in Jason Tatum. Terry Rozier was never really that, but it's never been Jaylen Brown as the guy per se. And maybe next year is just trial run for him, like Jaren Jackson last year. Jaren Jackson was the one lone Grizzly standing, and that made him become an amazing player this year when he had everyone around him. So I think that's how the Celtics should take it. I don't know if they want what they'll do with Kristaps, just because he has mystery illness, anemia, is what has been kind of been floating around there. He's had that before, and who knows where he'll be for next year either. So definitely don't want to get rid of Derek White. Although I've seen some crazy trades for him. Um, Al Horford might be out the door this year or next.
He's
So
considering it. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a big switch up, and obviously I've been on here saying like I don't necessarily love the Celtics, but I would hate for it to go all downhill in this manner. Like if they're gonna get eliminated, if they're gonna be hamstrung and down bad, it better be because they lost, not because of something out of anyone's control and just disappointing for all. So
Well, I'll say this: the first two games of the series, that was definitely in their
no, that was
control.
on them.
Like
That was on them.
they put themselves in a hole in the series, and then they gave themselves less margin for error. Brad Stevens
Yeah,
said himself, we could just see it just by watching the way they lost was
yeah.
completely in their control. With
Classic
the
Celtics.
Jason Tatum injury, Kristaps being ill, like the timing of it, and then just in May, like the injuries that have just hit, that is
Mhm.
just a rough bunch. Now you're gonna have a tough decision to make between Kristaps and Drew and Derek White.
Yeah.
Which of those guys do you keep? Because the reason why the Celtics won the championship, and I definitely want to give Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown credit. They've matured, but part of my worry with those two on the team together, on the salaries they have together, is, and I know Brown was playing for a meniscus tear, but some of the
Yeah.
decision making he
That's
had,
tough.
that's not what you do with a meniscus tear. That's
Yeah.
just that's just IQ. I feel like, and Jalen Browns has had this problem since playing in Golden State, where he gets tunnel vision and he turns the ball over. He makes bad decisions when he's trying to do it all himself. And what Derek White and Drew Holiday brought was a higher IQ on the team
Hmm.
and just knowing their roles and playing within themselves. And the Celtics need to find that with this certain calorie sap situation that they find themselves in. Because in addition to that, Holiday and White were great defenders.
Yeah.
And I would almost do everything in my power to keep Derek White because he's kind of like your Mr. Automatic 3-point button when
Oh
Jason
yeah.
Tatum and Jalen Brown weren't going. And I would keep that as much as
Hmm.
possible. As much as I love Drew Holiday, he's not going to give you that from the offensive end and what Joe Mazzulla wants to do in his style. But at the same time, could you approximate him with the Davion Mitchell in Miami, who's quietly been really,
Yeah.
really sound defensively? He reminds me a lot of Drew Holiday. He's just not going to
Yeah.
have that championship experience. Do you take a chance on that and get the low budget guys? Like try and make a swing for um, like a PJ Tucker on the Knicks, like just old veterans and
Yeah.
guys that you can count on to be reliable and you know what you're going to get within their goals. Because I'm almost thinking of like all those players in the D'Antoni Rockets because they would be a perfect fit with Joe
Yeah.
Mazzulla's scheme. It's not exactly the same because Joe Mazzulla creates threes in different ways,
Hmm.
but those would be the kind of the guys I would target. The hardest guy to approximate would probably be Kristaps
Oh, definitely.
because can't count on Luke Cornett to fill in a full time role with 7 blocks in Game 5. He gave you everything he had in that game,
Yeah.
man. So I think definitely big men is like something they need to prioritize doing. Um,
Hmm.
because just looking at the future and then like how realistic it is to keep Kristaps, that's going to be difficult, and it makes the Robert Williams trade kind of unfortunate with how they've been dealing with things. So I'm leaning to keeping Derek White and just trying to find cheaper options with guys you can rely upon.
Yeah. And I agree. I think Derek White should stay. He makes 28 million, 2 million less than Drew, but he's also 3 years younger, and I think that's huge. Like you don't want to necessarily tie up all your money on older players. And yeah, you could say Jimmy Butler's making 60 million a year on the Warriors. Like how feasible is even that? And obviously Jimmy Butler's better than Drew Holiday. I'm not saying they're the same, but paying these 35 plus year old players all this money just doesn't make sense. Especially if you're trying to be a consistent contender. And I think Jason Tatum he's going to come back, he's going to be what, 28, 29? He won't even be at his prime, like over the hill of his prime yet. So I think you have to take this year and like you said, go for the cheaper guys, go low ball a little bit. Even give your younger guys some time. I mean, JD Davison, something like that. He was
Yeah.
like MVP of the G League. Bro, this is the time to have that guy play in a season that might not matter that much. Baylor Shireman. These are guys I think they should play and um to see if they can develop and whatnot. And yeah, I looked up Kristaps' contract. I mean, he's yearly similar as well, around $30 million, and he's only 29 next year. That's his age 29 season. But it depends. It depends on his health and whatnot. And I think a big thing, you don't lose Derek White. You can't lose Derek White. And what if you make Derek White your actual point guard, your guy who always has the ball? Because I think we're seeing Jalen Brown might not be the best creator, but he's a good play finisher. You get it to him in the post. He can make a little turnaround shot, turnaround layup, hook shot, and he's just big and strong that most other two guards can't body him out of there. So I think it's a good option. And yeah, I think if you trade anyone, it's Drew. Or you won't. I think you do have to trade him at that point. So trade him for some assets. Trade him for some young guys. Maybe even picks. That's slightly steep. I mean, you could finagle a pick in there, but I think it's worth, especially in this next draft. You got the Boozer twins, AJ DeBonsa. This is a loaded draft, and I think it's might not. I don't know if it's a Cooper flag, but it's interesting. So yeah,
I mean, there's
don't get
always
rid
a
of Derek
Nikola
White.
Jokic around there somewhere. So you gotta you gotta take
Yeah.
your chances. But I just think with their team, they gotta be smart and say like what made them go after Drew Holiday, like a Kristaps. Like what made them they gotta really assess their roster and say these are the weaknesses
Mm,
without a Jason Tatum and with a Jalen Brown. Like
yeah.
how do we minimize those and build on the strengths? They did that perfectly when they got Kristaps and Drew Holiday. So it's
Yeah.
not like getting the same type of players per se. It's just trying to can they do a good job self-assessing their roster without players they can't keep and
Hmm.
get the type of players in the building that will help supplant. Because on paper, you have two elite wings
Yeah.
in the biggest moments that they have weaknesses that they need to help shore up. So as a team, you already have one of them in the building. That's the answer, Derek White, and you can keep him financially. So do it. Then it's like, how do we fill out those other two spots? They need to be smart about that. So do they swing for the fences and do like a Zach Edey for Kristaps Porzingis trade or something like that?
Jeez.
That would definitely help what they're trying to do. Um,
Yeah.
like when like rebounding, that would definitely be that was the problem against the Knicks.
Yeah.
That would help. Um, like
Rebounding
it's fine and
creation.
also find the guys that other teams cannot keep on the salary books.
Nas Reed.
Nas Reed would be perfect, but can they afford him? That's the big thing
Yeah.
because he's looking for a big payday at this point, right? So
Let's see
it's
how much he's making.
yeah,
Nas Reed. Come on,
it's
sport
not what Nas is
contract.
making right now; it's what
Oh
he's projected to
gosh.
make, right?
No, yeah, I mean,
Because he's really cheap right now.
he's so cheap right now. He made 13 million this year and he has a player option. He's gonna reject that. He's gonna be like, nope, give me my money. I don't know what his
Right.
max is. Does they even say here what his max could be? I don't even know. So yeah, he's gonna be on the market. It feels like every team needs something. No one is like out there like, oh,
Yeah.
fire sale, you know. It doesn't feel like that, and I think that's what's going to make it very interesting, and especially because of the cap rules. We
Right.
all it's just not as easy as you'd like it to be. So, but yeah, basically keep Derek White, figure out something to do with Kristaps. It's kind of hard because it seems like his value is pretty low right now because he literally can't play. But
Yeah.
yeah, aside from that, that's kind of your goal. Rebounding, overall creation. That's what you miss without Jason Tatum. And yeah.
Moving forward to the Nuggets, another
Mm,
disappointing end to the season. And I say that they pushed it to 7 games against Oklahoma City. You're like, man,
yeah.
you're watching the first quarter. They go out to a 21-10 lead. You're just like, wow, this
Wow.
team came to play. OKC is not hitting any shots, and then suddenly in the second quarter, OKC just turns it up on defense towards the end of the half, and they're just like going on fast pace all the time. Um, I'm not going to blame Aaron Gordon for that,
No.
even though like the hamstring injury hampered him athletically. The fact he even showed up and played
Yeah.
with a green two hamstring
Scary.
is insane. I think Michael Porter and Jamal, and I love Jamal in the playoffs, but they needed to show up when they did because the fact that Christian Brown was hitting, I don't know, he had somewhere between 16 to 20 points, but the fact he was producing that
Yeah.
for you guys and coming out strong, being like the only guy other than Jokic as support, you can't have that if you're the
Mm,
Nuggets. It goes back to what they need to do, like from a roster construction standpoint. This is where it turned to bite them right now, where it's like, what do you do with a guy like Michael Porter, who you committed a lot of money to?
yeah.
Um, and then some of these younger guys like Peyton Watson, and then the guy who went off in Game 6, what was
Julian
his name?
Strother.
Dune Strouder. They have their highs and lows. So it's
Yeah.
like, do you commit to them? Because I like Strouder offensively and I love Peyton Watson defensively. But they have weaknesses on the other sides of the ball where it's like
Yeah.
you need to commit to those guys, and continue to develop. Because look what happened with Christian Brown. So it's like you
Yeah.
need to make sure you have the right coaching staff in place to support it. And then um, Russell Westbrook was always an odd fit to me, where he gave Denver something they didn't need, something they didn't have. But
Yeah.
then he also detracted from who they were as like offensive players and offensive style, and then playing as a team, playing as a group, where like he would do all the little things like get extra rebounds and stuff like that, but he wouldn't like run the offense as smoothly as like a Jamal Murray would. So it's
Hmm.
like, do you pivot away from that, or when you have Westbrook on the floor, you just have him as like a as just like an explosive like two guard that
Yeah.
can't shoot, and then have like a facilitator point guard. I think that's something they might need.
Hmm.
Maybe that's a guy like Campaign, or just like a guard. Like maybe that's a who's the Phoenix Suns guard? Trey Jones,
Tyus
I think.
Jones.
Tyus Jones. Like that's Trey Jones from the Bulls could also work too because he does a good job
Yeah.
running offenses. But um, like somebody like that to spell Murray, I think is something that's needed, especially when Murray's coming off of injury. So it's
Yeah. I.
I like Brown, I like Murray,
Yeah.
but I think Michael Porter clearly hamstrung this team when his shot wasn't falling. So,
Hmm.
and I've always liked Porter, which is just odd that he can't expand on this game
Yeah.
at this point of his career. So it's like, do you go get a guy like Andrew Wiggins and keep him next to Aaron Gordon? Because at this point in his career, he knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
You already had the fundamental offense in um, Jokic, Murray, and Gordon, and you can count on them to play defense when they need to.
Hmm.
Andrew Wiggins can give you that chess piece that you can move him all around the floor. He's not a liability defensively. He's going
Yeah.
to do a lot of things that Michael Porter can do with the rebounding wise. Might not be as good of a 3 point sniper, but he knows who he is as a player and he can create his own shot a little bit. We've seen that.
Yeah. I don't. It's a good thought. But I do agree. I think Michael Porter Jr. has to be on the way out. Just and credit to him for toughing it out with that shoulder injury, but he's just kind of a one-dimensional player, and it's nice to have a score like that and hitting like that in the draft. A low, I think a low lottery pick. That
because of the back injury. He wouldn't have gone that low if it was not for the back injury.
yeah, but you need to. You can't just be one dimensional in this league anymore. And even Jamal Murray, he's great, right? But when is he going to show up? Is the biggest question. And I think obviously you're not going to trade him, but it makes you kind of look back on that contract extension and say, man, did we kind of bite the bullet there? But I think you just need to hope. I mean, this won't be an Olympic year like last year. Jamal Murray will have more time to rest. I mean, it's been a crazy stretch where he has a terrible playoffs, doesn't really do well in the Olympics, goes into the season, doesn't really play amazingly well, has a game or two. The playoffs are okay, and now he can rest. And now he can recharge. You hope he's 100% completely for next year, and Aaron Gordon as well. Aaron Gordon really showed. I mean, I think Aaron Gordon was the second best player for the Nuggets in these playoffs, and I don't think there's much argument to
Yeah,
that. So that's your
100%.
core, obviously, but try to trade Michael Porter Jr. for role players that can add to the depth of your team. Like
I would love a Trey Murphy or Cam Johnson on that team.
Trey Murphy would be insane. That would be insane.
I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to get him, but
no,
that would be.
that's the struggle. It just feels like no team like Trey Murphy. What are the Pelicans gonna do? What are they doing? Zion doesn't really play often. It just feels like they're gonna stick to their guy, Trey Murphy, and they're never gonna say, okay, we might need to move on from him. Let's trade him for some assets and restart or whatever. It feels
Right.
like everyone is like that. Now obviously the Pelicans are one of the teams that maybe should do that because they're not very good at all, but who knows? I mean they could make me look stupid next year. I don't really know. Then they still have DeJounte Murray, so and big thing for the Nuggets next year they get Deron Holmes. That was their draft pick this year. I think he tore his ACL or something even before the season started. So you might have a backup center next year if you're the Nuggets. Can't have DeAndre Jordan anymore. That doesn't work. Zeke Naji is a power forward, although he had some good games in the season. So
Najee
just get rid of
Marshall,
MPJ.
that could be a good. I know how much you love him, but like that could be a good ad for the Nuggets. Think about
Who?
what they need. Najee Marshall.
Oh no, I meant Zeke Naji, but no, yeah, Najee Marshall would be helpful. He just needs to shoot or be able to shoot. I feel like they kind of sat
I
on.
mean, you weren't getting that from Porter in this series.
Yeah,
So does he really need to?
yeah. And I think what do they? I feel like they might not keep Westbrook. I'm just interested to see what this new GM, whoever, do we know the new GM? I don't think so, but whatever he does or she
No
does, I
idea.
don't know. That'd be interesting.
Oh, one guy I was thinking about for the Celtics. You could make a play at Chris Dunn. That might be a good like if I were them, I would be
Not
trying to
bad.
get Chris Dunn right now. That's like
Yeah,
they might be able to do a Drew Holiday Chris Dunn trade, something of that sort. Not straight
that's
up.
kind
It
of
would be it
wild.
would be some sort of balanced deal. But
Yeah,
like knowing the Clipper style, they would want great defenders, and Drew Holiday would fit that. That
yeah,
imagine him and Kawhi on the same team.
yeah.
That would be crazy.
That would be pretty fun.
And that would give them multiple ball handlers. Um, that was something of an issue with the Clippers. And um,
Hmm.
Chris Dunn going to the Celtics gets another chance at a starting role. Like that's, I could see that being very fruitful for them. Anyway, but like, yeah, the Nuggets need to figure out how to build at the very like one or two starting spots video. There's a reason why they finished with game seven in the conference.
Yeah.
They're a very good starting lineup team, but against a team like OKC, the one or two weaknesses they had where Porter wasn't doing his job, and then like you weren't spelling Murray in a tough season.
Hmm.
Well, like those things mattered because
Yeah.
when they were turning the ball over and Jokic was trying to do too much and he was turning the ball over, that was an issue. I'm not going to blame Jokic because he put up the numbers all season and throughout the
Yeah.
playoffs to prove like he is not a liability and he's made significant strides defensively.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so it's about finding the guys around Jokic where they are going to do their roles and be unselfish, and that's what you need out of this team to maximize the most out of him. So
yep. Yeah.
Cavs, real quick, they they forgot they needed to give Evan Mobley and Jared Allen the ball as much,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't
Hurts.
want to hear it, but Darius Garland has been disappointing when the going gets tough in closeout series.
Mm.
Like this is the second straight year. He just looks like he doesn't even want to try out there sometimes when adversity hits, and especially Max Struess. I'd probably be even more
Yeah.
upset with him. But like you could clearly see it in those two players, like Garland and Struess, like they just didn't want to be out there when
Yeah.
they're having a tough time. And it kind of was cancerous to the team. So as Cleveland, you got to figure out a way around that. You swung a big trade for DeAndre Hunter. Are you going to insert him in the lineup for Struess? I
Mm-hmm.
would not even blink and swap them out in the starting lineup and stuff for like
Yeah.
maybe kickouts because Struess even did this in Miami, where like especially in the Denver series, when he was not hitting shot, he would just not give you any value on the team, committing dumb fouls, like getting emotionally involved in the game, and it kind of sucked the life out of the energy of the team. So
Mm.
those are the two things that stood out to me. Until Cleveland fixes that, they might have to trade away Darius Garland to get the most value in the team.
Yeah. I think because that's the big thing. I don't in the regular season the two small guards worked, but it's just when you're playing a team so good offensively as the Pacers, like you have DeAndre Hunter, right? Who's yeah, like even on your starting lineup, who guards Tyrese Halliburton? Like it's either DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, y- and they even had to play a Coro a bunch of minutes, and they don't even like to start him or play him that much. And then once you have someone else there, Donovan Mitchell's guarding, I don't know, Nemhard, that's fine. But then who Neesmith is being guarded by Darius Garland, or it's just someone smaller than him, and it doesn't work. I think I know Darius Garland didn't play well, but I would also say the turf toe is an issue. But that
Yeah.
was that was a recurring issue. That wasn't he'd been dealing with that for a while. Just tough that it affected them. The fact they had to lose three of their starters for one of those
But like,
games.
how do you explain Mobley not getting involved as
Yeah,
often as he should have been? Like, there's one point I was looking up, he only had 5 shots in the game. Like,
yeah.
and I think that was the same case as like game 5 or game 4. Like I said, like he's just not getting enough touches.
No,
And
that's an
all
issue for
season
him.
he's been really, really good for you.
Yeah.
And when the moment you need him the most, you're not using him. And
Mhm.
they were not playing together. You could clearly see it night and day, like the Pacers running up and down the field, like
Yeah.
up and down the court, sharing the ball, playing fast, pushing pace, playing unselfish. And the Cavs, it just seemed like they were not passing the ball around. They were jacking the threes at points, and it was a hard to watch game
Yeah. And also Ty Jerome, I mean, he could not score in this series. Ty Jerome,
until game 6. He had it going.
yeah.
He had it going when he didn't start right away or like come off the bench right away. But when he did,
Mhm.
like he was the only one that gave him the spark. Um,
Yeah.
but I won't put too much on him because it's
No,
just
he's a
like
bench.
one bad series you've seen from now. Like with Darius Garland and like Max Struess, like this is not the first time you've seen this from them in their careers.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So tough for them. I mean, you're a 60-win team and you get bounced in the second round. It hurts, but
right.
hopefully you come back better either with new team or just new energy next year. I definitely don't want this to be the last time we hear from them. They need to show up next year.
Donovan Mitchell said it himself, we'll see you here next year. So
Yeah.
um, I mean, speaking of somebody who made false promises, Draymond Green, Warriors, Jimmy Butler. I It's a tough to say this because he's been one of my favorite players to watch over his career. Um,
Yeah.
Started out on the Bulls originally, had insane games on the Heat in the finals,
He did.
but for some odd reason, he was very passive in the series and showed like usually this type of matchup when you see another two-way superstar across from you, Jim Butler goes out to play. Like whenever I'd seen him square up against Kawhi Leonard, he put up big numbers, be huge on defense, and like we just didn't see that in this series at all. Like the Timberwolves just had their way. With the Warriors, you could tell like without Curry, like there was no flow or structure where you're trying
Oh
to
yeah.
say like, oh, does Trace Jackson Davis? make a big impact for us. And it's like, no, it's really not the same style. Like,
No.
and you could, at one point, Kerr was playing like 15, 16 guys in a single game, just trying to figure out, like, how do we get offense from there? And um, it sucked. Like, you want to see Curry out there playing, but like, this just goes to show, like, off-season plans. Warriors don't have a clue what they're doing when they don't have Steph Curry.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
it's kind of like if Jokic is not on the floor, they're not the same team. And
Yeah.
Draymond and Jimmy can only cover up for so much defensively.
Yeah. No, it's difficult. And just the biggest thing, you need to have some sort of creation. Like Brandon Pajemski is maybe the next creator. I mean, Draymond, but Draymond can't create on his own. Draymond needs Steph. He needs that, oh, dribble handoff. Nope, I'm going to the basket. Like that's all because of Stephen Curry. Without Stephen Curry, that doesn't work. I think Jimmy's just too methodical about it. And right, he had his what glute contusion or whatnot. So maybe he wasn't 100%, but it's just the Warriors without Steph are just literally you you could think of them almost as a G League team. It just feels like they're that low without him. Like they're like barely in the play-in without Steph. So I think the big focus here is creation. Um, I feel like I heard they were going after some centers, some real centers. I don't know. Maybe development will help, but I think you'd think of trading. I mean, Kuminga, right? Kuminga is a guy that is probably not going to play. Some of the stuff coming from Steve Kerr himself is that he didn't like when Jonathan Kuminga would look off Steph to get his own offense. That's kind of a crazy statement to even think about. But yeah, heard a sign and trade
I
could
mean,
be
Buddy
happening.
Hield will do it. So like, I don't see you
God,
like
yeah,
like talking bad about Buddy Hield. So these are kind of like Jonathan Kuminga is like
he's
he's
a
a
good
guy that
player.
has a lot of potential. A
Hmm.
lot of potential. Like Hield, Kuminga, you want to keep those kind of guys. But then you want to kind of say like, okay, what's our backup plan if Steph gets like they
Yeah,
don't fit that style of play. They're good energizer bunnies coming off the bench, but like they don't fit that style of play where like, oh, we could just replace them if replace Steph with these guys
yeah,
if he gets hurt. They're not that type of players. So then it's just like what Jimmy was supposed to do was be like a different like counterpunch player. And he was when he was on the team with Steph. But then without Steph, like he's kind of like, oh, these are just the non-Steph minutes.
yeah.
And it didn't pan out that way because it was like now you got to key in on Jimmy. And he wasn't aggressive enough. So um I almost want to say you need another like creator or like gravity puller somewhere. Like it's
Mm,
specialized shooter.
yeah.
Like if Trey Murphy was on that team, just for example, I mean, I think it would look a lot different. Like the
Mm.
spacing because like Keegan Murray or like Trey
Oh
Murphy,
yeah,
like you gotta key in on those guys. Like Buddy is not that type of gravity guy because he's not like a off the catch shooter like that.
yeah,
He sometimes gets it off the dribble, but like Keegan and like Trey, they could do it no matter where they are on the court. So I feel like you almost need a guy like that, like a big shooting guy that you got to worry about, opposite of Jimmy, like in that situation. And they just didn't have that in that series. They didn't have the bodies in the show because when you're guessing like 16 different people, you don't have it. So
yeah. What if they make a move for Kristaps Porzingis? That you
they
said big
could.
three. I was like,
They're
ooh.
trying to get Vucevic.
Yeah, they're trying to get Lowry
So
Markkinen last year, and they were like, no, we can't give up Pajemski. He's too valuable. And like, he's good, but you do need some real size now, and yeah, they've just followed the small ball wave since 2015, and it just doesn't work when you don't have that good of small ball players. That the big thing about small ball, like we said a few weeks ago, is there's skill, and you have the skill to back that up to go against another team's big guy that isn't as skilled. They don't really have that skill, especially offensively. So yeah, it's tough, and every guy needs to be a bit more of a threat. And like they're playing Guy Santos, Braxton Key in these series, man.
yeah.
Pat Spencer's kind of something. He's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Steve Nash and LeBron talk today, and the way the
Hmm.
league's headed, they're right. They're 100% right when they say every guy needs to make a decision with the ball in their hands and be a shooter and be a threat.
Yeah.
Like you didn't see that on the Warriors. That's if you want to go small ball, you need to have that from every single player in the
Hmm.
lineup. And
Yep.
only Draymond and Jimmy had it, and pretty much everybody else. Pajensky is on his way, but um, like if you don't have it, then you just got to have big lineups and win in other ways. So,
Yep.
um, with that said, we're going to talk about the four teams that do have it in some capacity. This Eastern Conference Finals starting tomorrow is going to
Yeah.
be very interesting um,
Extremely.
because they have very contrasting styles. The Pacers are like, we'll
Hmm.
win in multitude, we'll beat you in waves, we'll go 8, 9, 10, 12 deep if we need to, and we'll still run you up and down the court. Whereas the
Yeah.
Knicks are like, in Jalen Brunson, we trust. We might get a cat game from here. Might get some baby pouting or like crying, like half the
Oh my
calls. Or
God.
I was
Always be.
waiting for that since the last
Yeah.
episode.
So funny.
Man, you should see some of the reels. Like, there's like a full like mixtape of him. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like caught in like the most weirdest ways as far as forms. Like, he's a funny player. And then you
Yeah.
got Mikal Bridges just suddenly coming out of nowhere, but you paid a lot to get him, and
Yep.
so like they will show up and need a very great defensive team.
Hmm.
Um, I worry about Josh Hart um, with his face getting hit and all,
Right.
and OG Ananobi with a hamstring, but they seem to be playing through it and made it out fine. Um, but for the large part, it's just a Jalen Brunson show, and
It really
it's
is.
getting very hyped to be a Halliburton Brunson bout just because of the WWE thing you saw with them.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the different styles are what intrigue me the most in this series.
Yeah, and I think a big thing, the Knicks might have really benefited by playing the Celtics first because the Celtics, they're not super high paced, but they are on that kind of wave of let's move the ball around, let's get open shots, let's push a little bit. And yeah, the Pacers are the masters of doing that. They like everyone says they'll pull the ball out of the rim and push it, and that's huge. So I think that's gonna be a big point. Also, how is Mitchell Robinson fit into all this? Are they gonna hack him? I don't think like the backup center matchup is Thomas Bryant against Mitchell Robinson, and Mitchell Robinson is going to cook. And Mitchell Robinson can guard that not 1 through 5 locked down, but
I mean,
he
he was
ro-
clamping Jalen Brown in the corner, man. Like
yeah,
his closeout was insane.
and he rotated to all 5 Celtics on that possession. Like that's the kind of stuff that's very exciting to me. I love the history between these two teams in the '90s. I just read like a whole Twitter thread about that. That was pretty fire.
OG
Don't
and Pascal.
that yeah. I just love OG. He's so strong, and Pascal Siakam has been cooking. But the real only reason I'm rooting for the Knicks is because I'm excited to see if they win this series. Like all those videos of the everyone in New York after they won. I just want more of that. That's so funny to me.
What
Like,
about Obi Toppin, man? Like,
nah,
you don't want to see Obi Toppin just like reverse dunk it
yeah, and have
in
everyone say he looks
MSG?
like Dr. J.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that was a stretch, but I mean,
Uh,
it's a very intriguing seat because it's who's going to guard Siakam.
OG.
Like it'll be very not to say New York can't do it. They got two guys that can, but it's like how do you match up the line? Because Andrew Nemhart can get his own shot too.
Yeah.
So like if you decide we're gonna put Hard on Halliburton, that's not ideal because
No.
Halliburton's wingspan there's
Mikal
no
has to guard
easy
him.
answer for Halliburton
I think
like just
Mikal
in
has to guard
general.
him. Mikal's long,
Yeah,
like
but then what about Neesmith and Andrew Nimhart? They're both guys that are very strong guys that
mm,
can get their own
true.
like Nemhart can get his own shot more than ever. So it's like, do you really want Neesmith on Brunson on both sides of the ball? Like up and down the floor
No,
90 minutes? I don't know.
that's a
I don't
tough one.
know
Yeah.
because you can throw multiple bodies um like if you're the Pacers because you got who's the other guy? He's got the mustache. Um
Ben
forgetting
Shepherd.
his name. Ben Shepherd. You got a guy like him. Then you got like a TJ McConnell who's just gonna
I love
throw random random pace at you,
Yeah.
right? Um, Another great guy for Celtics to target maybe, or the Nuggets to target. That would be a great option. Um,
Yeah.
then you also got Miles Turner to contend with. It's like, do you really want Cat guarding Miles Turner? Like that's like when Miles Turner's on, he's like borderline unguardable. So it's and then you got Ben Matherin, like Benedict Matherin.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be very intriguing to see where he falls in the mix because he's a very underrated player. Um, that's another guy I think the Celtics should target. I like him a lot. Sometimes he goes overboard,
Yeah.
but he's the type of player who's like very confident in himself, knows his role, plays with high IQ,
Yeah.
except when he gets ejected.
Exactly. But I find the Cat Miles Turner matchup interesting because Cat might not be as tall as Miles Turner, but I think he's strong enough to battle with him down low, and I think that's a big thing because that's a big reason the Miles Turner or the Pacers played well against the Cavs. Is just Evan Mobley didn't really bring it aggression wise. Jared Allen might have, but not in the same way. And
But they
the
didn't get the touches. Like you could see clearly, like when they got the touches, they were scoring very easily, and
Mhm.
they just were not getting the ball from the guards.
Oh yeah, you mean Mobley and Allen? Yes. I guess I meant more like guarding Evan Turner,
Oh,
Miles
Miles
Turner.
Turner. Yeah.
But and then I don't think Miles Turner has the mobility to keep up with a cat drive. So I think that's going to be something like they haven't had that kind of opportunity given to them per se. Like Detroit tried to put Tobias on him so he couldn't, so Cat couldn't drive as easily. That kind of it didn't fully negate him, but he wasn't like he didn't do as much as you might expect. Last series, I think they even guarded him with Drew, right, or Holiday. The way they or no Tatum, it was Tatum. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting matchup. I mean, Jalen Brunson's gonna cook either way. It's gonna be a historic series, so I'm excited. A lot of history, like we've said.
Yeah, rematch and um, last
Yeah.
time kind of spoiled up with injuries to the Knicks, but um, it's very interesting to see how these teams square off. Who you got winning the series?
I want. I said who I want to win, and I'm picking them. Let's go Knicks. Find it interesting.
It's going seven. I'm gonna say
Oh, it's
Pacers
definitely
though.
going. I think it's definitely
I think their
Pacers.
pace of play and the amount of minutes that Tom has put on the lineup is gonna bite them in this series. Like this is the type of matchup where it's like playing that fast for that long, you're eventually gonna get guys that are worn out in the biggest
Yeah,
moments when you need them. And I think the longer the series goes, the worse it'll be for the Knicks.
the Pacers are also a lot deeper. So I agree. It's definitely going. I think it's going seven as well, but I kind of want the Knicks to win. I just literally just for those videos. Like I don't really care too much for either team at this point, but I just think it would be more funny. So yeah.
Well, one thing I keep my eyes on even more is the Thunder and the Timberwolves. I think this will be a
Hmm.
great series. I'm really excited about it tonight. Um, Coming up in just 40 minutes from now. But
Yeah.
um, Shea versus Ant. What more could you ask for?
Yeah.
Talk me through what comes to mind when you're looking at the series.
What comes to mind? One player I want to shout out. Is it Ryan Clark? His last name is Clark. He was huge in that comeback by the Timberwolves against the Jalen Clark. Jalen Clark. He was huge in that comeback against the Timberwolves during the season when they're down by 20 something, start playing his zone. No one, they basically take the ball out of Shea's hands, kind of what the Nuggets were trying to do with the zone last round, and just made everyone else shoot it, and they couldn't make it. So that's gonna be big. He was a great defender on Shea. I think also just we're gonna see another Alex Caruso guarding a big and Julius Randle matchup. That's gonna be fun. And how does
He was
Hartenstein
so
compare?
good game seven.
Yeah.
Like I know the stats didn't show it, but if you watched him play, like it was just he's absolute hyena out of there.
No, and I took some notes a lot I saw on Twitter as well. But like I had to guard this dude. Might have been like he wasn't that much taller. He might have been 6'4", but this dude must weigh at least like 220 pounds. Just we literally call him Mason Plumlee. Like I've said to him, like, bro, you're just like Mason Plumlee. He's like, yeah, but he can hit some shots, and I'm just like, I'm just on there like blocking his vision. I'm just like bodying him up. So I took some notes from Alex Caruso, but he'll be doing that on Julius Randle. Will Hardenstein be able to body up Gobert? Gobert's big, but is he stronger than Hardenstein, than Jalen Williams if they play him? And will Lou Dort, will J Dub, the All Star Jalen Williams, will they really show up? I mean, Lou Dort's been not shooting well at all. His defense has been fine, I guess, but if he's not coming to play like that, if Jalen Williams has stinkers like he did in the last series, it's not going to be easy. So I think those are my thoughts. Interesting
I
matchup.
think Lou
Nico.
Dort versus Ant is going to be a must see.
Yeah.
That's going to be a must see because you can't just screen Lou Dort away. That's not never
No.
going to work. I think I talked about this last series too, but like
Yep.
that's going to be exciting. To me, I'm like Lou Dort's been very clutch from three from when I'm watching him because
Hmm.
like he's in some of the games in the Nugget series, he's the reason why they won because in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter
I
he would
mean,
get
yeah.
hot from three. Like the real guy I'm looking at is Chet Holmgren. That is the
True.
guy
Yeah.
who I'm looking at and being like, okay, size and body wise, like it's not ideal, but can you still show up in ways that count most? He got through for the Nugget series, and what that tells me is he can do it,
Hmm.
but they're gonna need him as like a second tertiary threat, especially when you see Jalen Williams be inconsistent as he was in the Nugget series. Like,
Yeah. I
um,
I don't know
I
who
don't think
guards
this is
him.
a Jalen Williams series because the Timberwolves are as athletic as he is.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree. It'll be tough, but I'm just wondering who Chet guards. If he's starting him in Hartenstein, I don't want him guarding Julius Randle.
I
Does
I
he?
would probably say McDaniels.
Oh, right. Yeah, I kind of forgot about McDaniels. But then who guards? So you're saying Gobert on Hartenstein, then who guards Randle? Dort? Dort's already on, and you're not having
No, I
Shea
would
guard
I would
Randle.
so I would put
Oh no, maybe you
this
want
is
to put
gonna
Jay.
sound weird, but I would
Yeah,
put Shea on Gobert and I would put Williams
Jay.
on Randall. And the reason why is because Shea has the wingspan
Yeah, that's
to
true.
like really shield off like any lob threats. And like he's
Mhm.
he's shown to be a good paint protector when he's put in
Yeah,
those spots. Um and that kind of allows you to because you got let's see, you got Dort, J Dub,
Dort J.
Holmgren, and then Hardenstein, right? So
Yeah,
that allows you to put Dort on Ant, and then um, you can choose what you want to do with J Dub and Holmgren. But
yeah,
um, hmm, that's interesting
it is
because
interesting.
actually, no, I would put Hardenstein on Gobert and just trust that matchup because I
Yeah,
think Hardenstein can do enough on his own defensively,
yeah,
and then that way you can take Mike Conley out of the equation and really deter him. Like,
or, or Dante DiVincenzo.
yeah, yeah, whoever you choose to start, but I would think Mike Conley would start because you'd want to give Dante like a energizer off the bench for when Edwards sits, right? Or like
Hmm.
kind of
Oh yeah,
stagger the minutes. But yeah, I completely forgot about Hartenstein, so I don't know what I was thinking there. But
yeah, and just think about Hardenstein's been having to like guard a 7'1" refrigerator mountain of a man, Nikola Jokic. And I'm not saying Rudy Gobert is small, but Rudy Gobert is not as strong. We saw that last year in the second round where Jokic
yeah,
just moved him. So think about how much lighter it would feel like Rudy Gobert posting you up and you're just like, oh, this is nice. This is like a soft little hug.
right.
So I think it'll be Chet or not Chet, Hardenstein. There we go. That he's gonna be not excited, but he's gonna feel a bit relieved about that matchup compared to Jokic.
The nice thing about what Jalen Williams can do is like you can put him on a Randall and be comfortable with that.
Yeah,
That's what I was
maybe.
trying to say with Holmgren. So
Yep.
that might be the way they get around like who Holmgren has to guard without worrying about the size factor. That where like there was a big problem when you had to put him on Aaron Gordon, right? So um, because he would end up in a lot of foul trouble.
Yep.
But I think with McDaniel's, it's more of a guy like his dimensions,
Hmm.
and that makes it easier for him to like handle from a foul trouble situation. Um, So that'd probably be ideal for me.
Yeah, and again, X Factor, Jaden McDaniels. How does he shoot? Because if Chet's guarding him, Chet's gonna roam, and Jaden McDaniels gonna be open. Is he gonna hit his shots? Is he gonna be able to create? And I think that's a huge part of how Minnesota goes is Jaden McDaniels. So yeah.
On the other side of it, I think um, for the Thunder, we talked about who are guys that are going to step up outside of Shea,
Hmm.
and um, for me, I'm looking at the other side, the Hardenstein Gobert
Yeah.
matchup. Can Hardenstein do enough from like outside the painted area with the flip
The
shots
Yep. Yep.
that can open up things for Shea and J Dub to drive on Gobert? That's going to be the thing I'll pay attention to.
Hmm.
And can OKC turn over in Minnesota a lot? We've seen stretches where Minnesota starts out slower, they're not hitting their shots. Can OKC take advantage of that and really increase the pace of the game? Because we haven't really seen Minnesota be pushed in that way in these playoffs, I feel like. Whereas when once OKC gets steals and goes in a fast break, it almost feels like all the momentum is flipped. So if they're able to do that against the Timberwolves, I think this could be Oklahoma City in 6, if not
Yeah.
5.
Ooh. I'll give it 6. Just because I the Timberwolves are a scary team. They've been playing incredibly well. Uh, in the past like month or two. So I think this is huge for them. So I think they make it more competitive, and I think they could take it to 7, and especially because they were in this position last year of oh like the Mavs 1-6, it took the Timberwolves 7, and they fought tooth and nail, and they got in there limping into the Western Conference Finals. Now I'm not saying the Thunder are, but the Thunder are a lot less rested than the Timberwolves. So we'll see who
That
comes
is
out
true.
with
Timberwolves
games
could steal
maybe.
game one, to be honest. But I think the thing that makes it 6 for me is just the depth of the Thunder and like the fact they have so much speed
Yeah,
on
Case and
as a
Wallace.
roster. Like they have Case and Wallace, they have Alex Caruso, they have the other Jalen Williams, and then they
Yep.
have Isaiah Joe, who we haven't seen much of. Like
Oh, Aaron
they just have a
Wiggins.
bunch of guys that they can throw. I've completely forgot about Aaron Wiggins. Like they
Mhm.
have a bunch of guys that they can throw at the Timberwolves. Whereas with the Timberwolves, it's really just like an 8-9 rotation, and they play well as a team. And like Nas Reed too. Um, that might be the other factor. How well does Nas Reed play? He's a very
Mhm.
important player for them. And
True.
like with him and Randall, if they're able to have their way with OKC, that might be the way to go because we've seen when other bigs have gone against OKC, they struggled a lot when they've emphasized that. So, um,
Yeah.
but with that said, I just think the defense of OKC is just on a different level where it almost seems to give them a different energy, especially at home. Whereas like
Mhm.
with the Timberwolves, it kind of defense is kind of their identity. But if you limit Anthony Edwards, you might have a shot. You might
Yeah.
have a shot. I know Julius Randle's been playing out of his mind, but this might be the series where it's like it might not be ideal for him.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be a fun one.
So who do you have as the series prediction? Do you say OKC in 6 or 7?
OKC in 6.
Okay, gotcha. All right, sweet. So it looks like we're having pretty much the same finals prediction except differences in the Eastern Conference teams. We'll see
Yeah.
what's up. But yeah, who you got tonight?
I picked the Thunder on I use this app called Real where you can bet like not real money but like fake app money, and I picked the Thunder.
Okay, I think I'll go with the Timberwolves with this one. I know that I said in
Yeah.
6, but I think the rest thing you brought up is super important. I
Mhm.
think I think Thunder will be reeling from that,
Yeah.
and it'll be kind of like a oh shoot, we gotta react quickly because different team than the Nuggets, and kind of be one of those catch up games. So,
Yeah. Sounds good. We'll see how it goes.
alrighty, guys, that's it from our end. Want to follow us on our Instagram page? It's demand.a.mission. Full length
Yep.
videos are on the Modern Mission YouTube channel, right down there. Um, enjoy these conference finals games. Should be a fun one. Diego, any last words for the crowd?
Um, yeah, just enjoy it. Savor it because last year we had no NBA basketball. Saturday we had no NBA basketball. It's coming close and it's scary and
But we
it
did have
made
Angel
it kind of
Reese and Caitlin Clark going at it, so
true.
that's
That was
fun.
kind of wild. Fever are playing right now against the Dream. They're down. There's so much complaining about the refs for from the Fever. Kind of annoying, but aside from that, yeah, enjoy the NBA basketball. Lock in, lock in. This is the home stretch.
Just the fun stuff.
Yep.
Alrighty, take it easy, guys.
See ya.